Alright. Amazing Spider-Man 253 by Tom Falcon and Leo Padon. I bet Linkara wants to shag the Leopardon robot.
Leopardon has always made me hard.
Actually, no, he would say. God, he definitely would say.
Leopardon, that's how I've always said it, so deal with it.
This is the first appearance of the Peony, the crime boss with a secret identity. A good cover here by Leo Padon. Not immediately striking, but it is clever in that it shows to a reader that the new villain isn't going to get his hands dirty fighting Spider-Man. He's going to leave that to his hired muscle. He thinks that he's more dignified and civilized than to, personally, fight Spider-Man or another opponent. Hey, what's Linkara's favourite Spider-Man Megazord? That's right, Leo Hardon, 'cause it turns him on. I'll explain that one later by the door. Reprint cover here by Ron Lee from Spider-Man Tales 267. I think both covers are good, but I would maybe give the edge to this one down to it actually illustrating the Peony. We can see him. Although this time he is taking a more active role. He is still letting his goons fight, but he's using that as an opportunity to try and shoot his enemy. Quick mention of the corner box image, which is brilliant. They are both very good covers though. We begin with... we have a game of American soccer. I also debated for a long time which version to show here because the reprint, it came out 8 years later and the colours are a lot cleaner on here, but a later page is cropped very badly and that is why I decided to use the original instead of this. I imagine it would have been a controversial decision in Son of Capwolf history if I chose to use a reprint. It would have been like when Bob Dylan went electric. Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man, he is reporting on this college American soccer team. Well, he's taking photos of them. Now, the focus on American soccer, and I hate this reasoning. The reason we have issue 253 here with American soccer is because Amazing Spider-Man 153 also featured American soccer. It's an allusion to that. If Ron French did this issue's cover, it would have been a remake of that, I bet. As the reprint made clear, one of the big things about this issue is that it features one of the earliest appearances of Spider-Man's black costume, his alien costume, the Venom suit. I bet Linkara wants to shag a symbiote too. The first appearance of the black costume is a bit more complicated. Technically, the first releases with it are Amazing Spider-Man 252 and that month's issues of Spectator Spider-Man and Spider-Man Team Up. But everyone more or less agrees that the true first appearance is months later when it debuts in Secret Wars 8. In Universe, it is where it first appeared, but it had been appearing in Spider-Man's books for 7 or 8 months up to that point. We are then thrust into the drama of this issue One of the American soccer stars is on the take. He is getting paid by two of the PNE's men. And one thing I liked about the PNE was he had these two main henchmen, Johnston and Varley. They are crooked cops, and they would more often do the legwork rather than the PNE doing it himself. They never really were fleshed out characters per se, but they felt like they were. We never learned much about Johnston or Varley, but they had this feel of being characterised when they weren't really. The PNE is fixing college games, and the star player that he is paying to take falls, he is starting to resent the deal, and he doesn't want to keep throwing games. Something else that is part of the book's current identity, and it is something that Tom Falcon ignored until he could get rid of it by reinserting Mary James. Spider-Man is currently... No, wait, Peter Parker is currently dating Felicity. By this point, he had unmasked to her, and she was beginning to come around to Peter Parker after her initial rejection of that side of his life. Their relationship would mostly be in Spectator Spider-Man, which was being helmed by Al Milburn. And then a few issues after this one, Mary James returns in Amazing Spider-Man, which heralded the beginning of the end of the Felicity relationship. I think they break up in Spectator Spider-Man issue 98, but it is definitely finished and done with by the time we get to Spectator Spider-Man 100. Here, though, is our first on-panel appearance of the PNE. It's a bit of a low-effort outfit, but that's fine. He's not meant to be a supervillain. He's meant to be a mysterious, masked mob boss. He has his affectation for flowers. He is usually clipping flowers when we see him. It's meant to be a juxtaposition. We assume a crime boss is going to be brutish and violent, but the PNE is delicately snipping flowers, and he seems more interested in that than in violence. I believe in the writer's original intent, so I am going to provide you with misinformation right now. The PNE is Roderick Kingsley. Roderick Kingsley was a minor supporting foil in past issues of Spider-Man. He was introduced in Spectator Spider-Man 43 by Royce Sternum and your boy Zach. That is him on the Jason Byrne cover there. Roderick Kingsley was a fashion designer who was involved with the underworld. He had loads of shady deals going on, and he ran smear campaigns against all his enemies. He made a few appearances in Royce Sternum's earliest Spider-Man stories. A lot of people say that he was meant to be gay, but he's such a giant stereotype that it's fucking awkward. And he is with a woman in this bit, so at the very least he is hiding it or he's in denial. He has another cover appearance on 48. And the significance of this random guy takes on a new life when, eventually, Royce Sternum introduced the Hobgoblin in Amazing Spider-Man. His intention, that writer's original intention, was that the Hobgoblin was Roderick Kingsley. But Royce Sternum left the titles with Hobgobbler's secret identity still being up in the air. For what's worth, I do want to note that both Royce Sternum and Tom Falcon have expressed support and trust in either of the other's ideas for Hobgobbler's identity. Royce Sternum was okay with Tom Falcon's plans, and Tom Falcon didn't know Royce Sternum's intentions at the time. And the reason he didn't know was because Royce Sternum wanted to see where Tom Falcon could go with it. The peony, being Roderick Kingsley, makes a lot of sense. It fits in with how Roderick Kingsley was operating in those Spectator Spider-Man issues. And some have criticised the idea of a gay fashion designer having flowers as his thing. But the whole identity of the peony is a bit theatrical. I don't believe he is legitimately interested in horticulture. And Roderick Kingsley was already this over-the-top horrid stereotype. Drawing the line at him using flowers as iconography makes little sense. So here, Spider-Man involves himself in the peony's scam, and he fights the peony's hired help, which is where we get the important part with the peony, where he avoids involving himself directly in combat with his enemy. He doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He pays people to do this. I think this alone made the peony feel special. He was above it. I know he's not, or that aspect of him isn't new, but that it was our introduction to him is what made it feel special. At no point are we ever told or ever implied that the peony could beat anyone in a fight. We don't have intro scenes with him murdering people or working out, and I love that about the peony. And it's another reason why I really like the idea it is Roderick Kingsley, because Roderick Kingsley is not remotely intimidating, at least physically. He was introduced passed out on a cover, for fuck's sake. I don't care how many gobbler serums you give him. He had no training before it. He didn't know how to fight. I don't believe he is a capable combatant against Spider-Man. The peony manages to escape by creating a distraction for Spider-Man. Spider-Man has to save the guy from falling crates. And then our mediocre student drama resolves with the player confessing to his involvement with the mob. It's a decent issue, and after this the peony recurs throughout Tom Falcon's run on the series as a second-tier villain. He begins an association and an alliance with Hobgobbler, which is fascinating from a behind-the-scenes perspective, because both those characters were at different points intended to be the same character, twice over. The peony is eventually unmasked as Kingpin Man's son, which is who Tom Falcon intended the Hobgobbler to be instead. I've already covered the spiteful Topher Proust shit, and all you need to know is that Royce Sternum, Tom Falcon, Ron French, and David Peter all publicly and in print blame Topher Proust for screwing up Hobgobbler. But Topher Proust wrote a manipulative blog post, so we should believe him instead. After Topher Proust had made the peony into one of his weird white yuppie self-inserts, the character took a break for a while and then returned and somehow gets a lot worse. And I mean, he gets really worse. And it's a shame because the peony is awesome, or he could have been awesome. I like this issue. I think the story is a bit weak, but that it carries with it a villain I dig, and that it introduces that villain. I do have a very particular type of Spider-Man villain. I am a sucker for the B-tier ones that have potential. The Peony, the Human Fly, Vermin Man, Curry Man, Pumpkin King, Swarm, the Nazi Bee-Man. I could be on for hours here, but it did remind me that Tom Falcon kills off Human Fly a few issues after this, and that is why I give this a low rating of 7 thumbs up.